Hi, and welcome to Business Unusual. I'm Liz Whitehead, co-mastermind at Diversity Masterminds. I'm here as always with Heather Cox.
I'm Heather Cox, co-mastermind of Diversity Mastermind, coming to you live from Sacramento, California at the VIB conference.
And we're going to be talking about business unusual, what happens when business unusual becomes business as usual. And our guest today is Patty Mason. Hi, Patty.
Hi, everybody. So happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me for this session.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And we're going to get into business unusual. But before we do that, tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
So I'm actually a public accountant licensed by the IRS, which we are called an enrolled agent. So we do taxation here, individual taxes, business taxes, sales taxes, payroll related, payroll taxes, etc. But my passion in life are small businesses. And so we actually have in-house services that we perform for our business clients, keeping them focused on their craft while we handle like a virtual CFO type, handle their A through Z business needs, such as the bookkeeping, the payroll processing, the payroll taxes, and then later on their income taxes. So we pretty much do a lot of that kind of focused work on the small businesses. And then of course, tax season, we do all the taxes.
Yeah. And you were saying before we started the recording that this is like a family business and that a bunch of people in your family are CPAs.
Yes, ironically. So I started in public accounting when I was 19 years old, and I was working for my cousin in California, in Laguna Hills, California. He's a CPA. And then, of course, through the course of the years, my cousin Michael became a CPA. Then my cousin Melissa became an enrolled agent. I became an enrolled agent. And we're both simultaneously studying for the CPA. We're going to go past that. So there's going to be 4 CPAs in our family.
That's incredible.
Wow.
We love numbers. What can I say?
It's also interesting because you actually have a personality. And I always think of CPAs as so dry and boring.
You know, it's funny you should say, because I pride myself in having a sense of humor, not the typical accountant, but more the person that cares to be in your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you have a really unique perspective with the small business, what you want to see from small businesses. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, we met at a conference, the Go for the Greens conference. And there we were talking about things that small business owners need to be concerned with after COVID, right? So we talk about business unusual here. So what happened to businesses during COVID? What are some things that small business owners are struggling with or may not know that they're struggling with after the business disruptions that came from COVID?
That is a really good question, actually. One of the things that's really critical for small businesses is to have insolvency accounts, what I like to call them, and that's called reserves. So when we start a business, almost immediately, I advise my clients, hey, also open a savings account and let's put little, even if it's a couple $100s at a time, but let's just start putting money away, because should a COVID happen, we're ready to harness the waves of that challenging time. So during COVID, a lot of things kind of shifted gears for us. A lot of different industries had different kind of reaction, right? My industry, for example, did not suffer as much as maybe the hospitality industry. So that's the beauty about specializing in various areas of businesses as an accountant, is so that we can help businesses during any times. During COVID, one of the things that I saw in my business is I had to diversify income, because a lot of clients that, especially hospitality, that shut down or had to close due to the mandates, they could no longer pay the monthly fees. So some of our fee structure had to change because we're no longer getting that revenue stream. So I always say the savviest business people, business minds, know how to diversify their income during any side of the market. You know, no matter what happens with the external influences, internally, we know how to react. So what I did was I started helping people with funding. And if they had questions about how to apply for SBA grants, we helped them with that. So the first thing I did immediately almost when the programs came out is, let me get familiar with every single thing that's out there. So that when clients do call, hey, I need funding, how can you, then I can navigate this with them and help them to get funding. So that's one side of things that we have to look at as small businesses. How can we diversify our income? So if I can't come to you, well, then how can I do things virtually? Well, then how can I still come to you a different way? So what restaurants did, right? They started the deliveries. Logistics, they kept on moving in business while restaurants were closing down. So it's very, very important that you strategize. You have a good professional on your team or a third party that can help you strategize through any kind of, any kind of pandemic, any kind of opportunities where money's not kind of flowing in one area, you can make it flow in another area, if that makes sense. So that's my thought process on that one.
So now businesses, so the businesses that got the loans and things like that, the year's wrapping up, they have to think about, reporting those loans, getting forgiveness for those loans. What are some things that they have to keep in mind while they're doing that?
That is also a very good question. You're full of great questions today. So here's the thing with that.
Liz always has good questions.
She does. So one of the things we have to look at is what type of funding did you get? So the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program, that was based on your payroll, right? So that is a program that you applied for through your bank. The banks have been, some better than others, have been updating you with emails, hey, time for forgiveness, hey, time for forgiveness. The SBA has changed their rules several different times, of course. Can't be mad at them. This pandemic, nobody knew what was coming. So I feel like everybody was trying to figure it out. This is why it's so important we extend grace to almost everybody, from the IRS to the SBA to the states, because they're all human beings as well. So we have to understand that everything now is just a process. So small businesses need to get on the ball and get those forgivenesses done in a timely manner, because before you know it, if you procrastinate on that, that money is going to be owed back. And it's a hefty amount, depends on your loan amount. So it's very important that we get on top of that as soon as possible. At this point, there were 2 PPP fundings. At this point, all of it you should be applying for the second one and getting that forgiven. If you got an EIDL loan, so the EIDL loan, that's actual loan, that was actually super instrumental to saving a lot of these small businesses, super instrumental. Those ones are pretty much deferred about 2 years. There's other little provisions. You have to read the fine prints of the SBA rules, but they were deferred. So some of those payments will not start until 2022. So once those payments start, just got to get ready. Always be timely with your payments. Always notify the SBA if you have a change of address or anything is going on, because guys, as long as you're compliant, you can't go wrong with anything. Do the right thing, and you can't go wrong with anything. So that's what you do.
That's great. That's great.
That's like words to live by, though, right? As long as you do the right thing, you're good.
It's the truth. If you do the right thing, make the right choices, make the right moves. People have this, in my experience, people have this consensus that, hey, I just, go about my, seat of the pants. I said, listen, do it the right way. Let's plan for everything. Make a goal, make a plan for everything. You're still going to achieve the goals that you want, but in a sound manner, in a proper manner. We are a society that patience is an issue. We want everything right now. But the truth of the matter is that, God willing, we have tomorrow. So we live for today, but we have to plan for tomorrow. So that's why the decision making has to change.
Yeah. I think the patient piece, I think COVID kind of, whether you wanted to or not, it slowed everybody down too.
It did. No, absolutely.
Yeah. And then, so one of the things people realized during COVID, I was talking to a group of women business owners, there's like 10 of them, and almost all of them moved during the pandemic. Like they switched houses, they moved houses, like their workforce went remote. So that was another thing that we had talked about when I saw you in Florida, was like, okay, my workers who used to not be remote are now remote. not only like there's HR implications, but what are the tax implications of that if people have people all over the country?
Well, I have a follow-up question to that before you answer that part of it, because, you know, I knew a lot of people who moved, who worked for big companies also, or worked for other companies, and they didn't tell their employer necessarily that they moved because everyone was remote. So if you move states, though, there can be huge tax implications, right, for not only you, but for your employer. So what is there ways that an employer can really like protect themselves, right? And the employee as well, because they may not realize that there's a tax implication for moving state to state, or even sometimes county to county, right? It depends on where you live.
Right. So, wow, that is such a huge issue because ever since the state started realizing that, oh my gosh, a business came here is making money, I got to get my cut. So now we have these nexus rules. So what happens is if an employee, integrity is a big issue. We have to have integrity.
Do the right thing. You just said it.
Yes, doing the right thing makes you sleep better. So anyway, but the challenge comes is there is absolutely a tax exposure, because if you have, even if you don't have a physical presence in another state as a business, but you have an employee there, and that employee is generating revenue on their time. It depends on the industry, but let's say they're generating revenue for your business in that location, in that state. You have to register to do business in that state. Furthermore, you have to register that you have employees in that state and pay your applicable taxes, because you have to withhold now, not at the Florida rate, but at the New York rate, at the Connecticut rate, at the Washington rate. So it's so important that you get educated. One of the biggest things I would invite all my fellow accountants and CPAs out there, we need to educate our clients. And sometimes, not always does a client come to us and say, oh, by the way, I made $40,000 in Connecticut. So we kind of have to spend a little time in asking these questions. Hey, have you had any other source of income? Have you changed locations? Now, as an employee's perspective, when you start working from home, it depends if you are self-employed. It depends if you're an employee of another company. There's other implications such as, okay, do I deduct 200 square feet of my room because I'm working from home? Well, if you look at the IRS rules, some years back, they gave a flat rate for home office. Because if you think about it for a second, your home, your primary residence, if you sell it and your gains are under 250,000 as a single or 500,000 as a married couple, there's no tax consequence. However, if you deduct some portion of that house as business use, you have to recapture that portion of the gain, and it's going to become taxable. So why would we do this to ourselves?
Wow. That was a serious knowledge bomb. That I did never even thought of or heard about that before.
Me either.
Had you?
No.
Right.
So what's reasonable? What's reasonable? It's reasonable to deduct your internet. It's reasonable to deduct some of the, the technology. It's reasonable to deduct the light bill, the computer bill, the supplies. That's reasonable. But I would not, and I advise my clients, do not deduct your square footage of your house, because there's going to be consequences to that later that you're going to forget, not remember. All of a sudden, you got to pay tax when you shouldn't have had to, if you had good planning.
Wow.
Everything.
That's really smart. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So we see how you're a master of your craft in terms of being a CPA. Like, that was a ton of information that we just got. And you're about to get your PhD. So you're about to be Dr. Mason.
Oh my goodness. Now I feel highly like I'm like the laziest person ever. Oh my goodness. How many? So you took the CPA test in California, which is like a 4-part test, right?
So
then you took the IRS thing. Okay, tell me how this goes.
I'm actually not a CPA. I'm an enrolled agent.
Enrolled
so
agent.
what I am
Okay.
federally licensed rather than state licensed. However, I'm getting my doctoral degree in organizational leadership. It's a management degree, because my goal is to help raise better leaders. That's my passion, honestly, is to see beautiful young ladies intelligent young ladies and help them to succeed at whatever. Not just ladies, of course, anyone that comes my way. It's important that we help one another, be advocate for one another. If you succeed, I succeed. I'm not selfish with knowledge or any of that, but I'm getting my doctoral degree so I can have a voice. I'm looking to write an autobiography to take a journey through my journey to this point. And so there's many reasons I'm getting this degree, but I want to get to a point of leadership, mentorship. So I want to help those.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and then the last thing I'll do is sit for the CPA, but honestly, getting a CPA itself, it's not necessarily, you know, I don't know if it's going to change me and who I am today, if that makes sense.
Right.
Sometimes you get a license, you get a degree, but does that change who you are, the past 25 years of your experience? Probably not so much. So I'll get that for the formality purposes, but I'm fully content in, you know, my knowledge today.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this next step, because we've talked to a bunch of people who, you know, over the course of COVID, they're like, well, I have this successful business, but my next step is, you know, this other piece, this organizational leadership. So tell us a little bit about that and what that's going to look like.
Awesome. That's a great question. So, okay, so here's our business. We have been successful. We've achieved a lot of goals. So what's next? It's called wealth building. The next step is to build wealth and prepare for retirement. So in my mind, the next step is how can I maximize my retirement plans? How can I maximize how I want to build my wealth so that it can position me so that when I wake up 68, 70, I don't have to work anymore because I have to, but because I choose to. There's a different energy that comes with us when we work because we want to, rather than because we have to. So I like to get small businesses start thinking about, okay, let's build some wealth here. How are we going to do it? Should we invest in some commercial property? Let's buy some houses. What are we going to do to start positioning ourselves with assets that is going to generate us passive income? You know, depends on how the tax law is going to change. That may or may not be good or bad. We'll see next year. But it's still a good concept to do, is start planning for wealth building as well as retirement.
Great.
Love it.
So, yeah, so if people want to find you, right? Like you've given us a lot of information and people are saying, oh man, I need to think about forgiveness for my loans, or I need help with this, with the needs. How do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to reach you?
Okay. So my office number here, I'm actually located in Orlando, Florida, in the Metro West area. And my business phone number is 321-4, what is it? Actually, it's a new number. So 321-335-400. My website is www.masonaccountingservices.com. And then my email address is Patty, Patty, at masoneas.com. You can reach me any of those ways, and I can certainly see if I can be of service.
Thank you.
Are you on social media as well?
Say that again.
Are you on social media? Can we find you on social media?
I am on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. And where else do I have? On Facebook. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm trying to figure out how to achieve the Instagram. So I'm working right now to get, listen, this technology thing, you know, get a good grip on it but frankly, to be honest with you, I think the greatest compliment from any of the clients is the referrals, because
Absolutely.
I absolutely have, if I can just toot one horn, my level of integrity is one of the qualities that I'm so grateful for. I have a very high capacity for ethical behavior and integrity. So, you know, outside of that, that's pretty much my passion in life, to serve people. So it's.
But I feel like the theme of Patty's whole message is do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like when I post it, I'm like, just do the right thing.
You
Yeah,
got to do the right,
exactly.
listen, I'm telling you girls, you got to do the right thing because the right thing is liberating and it's empowering. You know, nobody said that you can't get to success or financial independence doing things the right way. We don't have to chill, kill, and steal to get there. There is a way to get there. It might take a little while, but remember, life is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah. This is awesome.
Thank you so much, Patty. This has been great.
I know you're so generous with your time and your expertise. So thank you so much. We're going to put that information in the notes so people can find you. Okay. And thanks so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Take care. And we will see you next time on Business Unusual.